Just join. Yeah, switch the names. Oh boy, what's up, everybody? Doing a little restreaming of today's markets. Got a little fun markets the past couple weeks. We missed a couple of these, so let's get down to business. You able to hop in here? Was it loading now or what? It's weird. Let me write in. I'm not super sure on that one. All right. While we're waiting on him, we'll just kind of go over some stuff. We've had the daily chart for Bitcoin. We've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks. Let's see what we looked at last time. These were our markets that were most interesting. These are the points of contention that we were looking at. We've hit this twice over the past 2 days, hitting an upper $28,400 price range. Since we missed last week or 2 weeks now, so it's been a pretty insane past 2 weeks. We've had Balji, what's his name? Balajai or whatever his name is he is saying that we are hitting cool $1 million Bitcoin in 86 days from a couple days ago, right? So he said $1 million Bitcoin in 90 days. It's already been 4. We should be at least $60,000-$70,000 by now if that's the case. No, but let's get kind of realistic. I think we've seen some of that trend line over the RSI for a very long time. The last time that my indicators were above the blue on Bitcoin was November 21st. This was the last time it broke down below that. And here, this is the first time since November 21st, so a little year and a half, year and 6 months, that this is now breaking up above the daily. I think we will get some of that retracement down into the 25 on Bitcoin here, looking like, a little bit of a bounce down here, a little bit of a bounce to these lows. This is good support looking, past since like January 1st. These are been good lines. And then I still think we're in that bullish trajectory here overall. And these are the points that I'm looking for. This 32,000 is a pretty big number. It was that one that we kind of had that bounce on up in March. We saw this large hit in 47. This was that next cascade down. So if we're seeing these kind of play out, I definitely see this is one of the possibilities. We either getting here and then kind of going up and bouncing through here. But I would say this is the current trading range. We have, the 25s could be a bounce. 28's been hit twice with resistance, so it's getting weaker. But again, usually what happens, we've seen, let's look back at 2019. We had this breakout and, we kind of see it happening right here. This breakout little peak and then back down. I think this is something that will happen more so likely. Let's kind of look at this trend here back in 2019. Whoop. We'll delete that bad boy. We got this large, let's see, what was the break here? This is the start. So we see this pretty, let's see, let's look the price range. You know, these were that lows in December. We had a 60% increase, and then, kind of like I count the COVID black swan a bit of a little over exaggeration here, but I would say, like, saying from this point, that $6,000 range, which is that touch there, to that $10,000 range, which is a huge push. And then you see that it just wasn't really that there yet. It was that little bit of a start of the bull market, and we get that euphoric kind of upwards push, and then we kind of get that breakdown again. And you see that it takes another year for this China to kind of kickstart. And this June is when the actual happening event is in 20, right? So 2020. And we're seeing a little bit similar here. Let's do the price here. We've got this. These are the lower prices. We've seen the kind of break in. We're already up 70% from that low. And again, the macro does not look good. The FOMC meeting is tomorrow with most likely, probably, I'm going to say probably a 25% hike. We'll see. 25 BPS hike, not 20%. That'd be a little insane. Uh, yeah. So, calling like that is, I do see quite a bit of retracement if we do it, because everyone's saying that we're not going to get one. We're not going to get one. But Jay Powell definitely seems, that meeting on the 15th and 16th, he was very adamant about this is not cooled off enough. We have the unemployment data to continue hiking, and we need to get that inflation under control, because people don't like it, right? You see what's happening in the grocery stores, you see what's happening with rents, we see what's happening with pretty much everything, and just overall, there's a lot of craziness in the markets right now. Really, I mean, banks are failing. We've had four banks fail. So we had Silvergate, Signature, SVB, and Credit Suisse. Have a little bit of essentially a bailout situation going on. They're not calling it a bailout. That's their new terminology, is I don't know, helping depositors is what they say instead now. But there was pretty much $400 billion injected into the banking system to help these depositors over the last little bit. And, there's a lot of what they call swap lines going back and forth from, I think it's like 6 or 7 countries now. So there's a lot of movement going on in terms of.
Hey, I finally made it in here.
There we go. There we go. This guy.
It was just loading and loading. But yeah, all these banks going down, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. So, there's a lot of issues, I would say, and a lot of these things are, you know, there's two kind of sectors of belief on these things, I would say, right? We have cryptocurrency is the new tech stock, and that's how it's been kind of portraying itself. It's matched with the S&P. It moves pretty well with those. It's got like an 87% correlation. And this is like truly the testament to, is it a currency or is it the digital gold? And the whole idea is you don't want to use it as a currency. You just want to use it as a investment tool to go back to, sell in the future for dollars, right? Um, my personal belief is it's a currency. I use it as currency. I use ETH. I use more ETH as currency, but I use crypto as currencies, more so than I prefer them over the dollar. And I have for a few years now. And you can see, again, like, if you just look at this picture zoomed out, right? A couple years ago, 2017, this was $700, and now we're battling of whether or not it's $28,000, right? So these are things that is not really the price of crypto going up. It's actually more the price of the dollar is going down so tremendously with the amount of additional dollars to the system. So again, this is a good year to accumulate in these prices. I think we could see something where we kind of get this upper hitting 32. That could be like that top that we had in 2019 that kind of retraced all the way back, and I could see it hitting in like the low 20s again. Um, and then we get the actual start of the halving event is in March of 2024. So again, this is a great year to start DCA purchasing. Um, when everyone else is saying sell everything, Kramer's saying to sell your Bitcoin into the pump. Banks are failing. I don't see a reason to not be buying crypto. It's barely above the cost of making a Bitcoin. The cost of making a Bitcoin is like I think somewhere between 19 and $20,000 with current energy costs and the current difficulties. So, I definitely see that it's just a little bit over the actual price of what they should be. Buying these lows in the 16 when you're buying before, below the cost of what it was to make these, right? So again, we over that past, that was in the beginning of January. We're talking about we were seeing movement upwards, but it was more of like this is not going to all time highs. This is going to that similar pattern that we had in 2019, which I still think is happening, right? We can see those 30s max. We can see maybe like that, like 40, I would say is max. That would be the next little resistance point up here in the 40s, with a lot of resistance points hit there. Previous touch here on that big bet initial first move. So, kind of that's what I'm kind of seeing right there. So we can switch over to ETH. ETH something I always follow a little bit more just in general because I prefer ETH. But here we see that Bitcoin has the first mover advantage and it's showing in the charts, right? This is still not above that blue line that I always kind of say, like, short until proven otherwise on these things, right? This is now going up against resistance. The ETH Bitcoin ratio, we had a cross here. It's pretty blatant. Obviously, I remember we draw this 2 weeks ago, and I said we're probably going down from here, and we're going down on the Bitcoin ETH ratio. We've seen it go as low as 0.05. I don't think we're going that. I could definitely see like the 0.058 range around here. Could be another little touch there. We kind of hit that a bunch over the past 2 years. Bam, 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 bam. Used to be used as resistance. Now it's, support, and then now it's being used as resistance here. So I think we can bounce and hit this as a little bit of support here. So we'll see what goes on there. But back to the original ETH chart here. We got a lot of movement. We saw this kind of hit. I think this was drawn, in the previous stream. We were we were all up here in these higher up spots. We saw a move down. These are pretty good. I mean, that's a sizable movement right there. 1700 to bottom 1375 there, and now back over that initial price. So again, I think we are still in a bullish medium term. Next month, 2 months, May is probably a good sign to cut. I think previously that $2,000 range is something that's approachable. And again, like that whole max, like similar to what I was talking about with Bitcoin up here in the 2500s. But I do think that we will see a retracement into something more like this. So we got a little bit of a tracement down into the like lower 1500s, and then kind of moving back up here. This is like April, so like a couple weeks away, hitting that $2,000 range. I do think that there will be. This is that whole uh, 25 BPS. It's the aftermath of that, and then I do think that we'll still see. There was some cool information that I saw. Again, it was coming out of all this banking failure stuff and the swap lines and all these things. There's multiple countries are on this, trying to pretty much essentially keep the dollar afloat, essentially, with the idea that we've seen head of reserve is saying they literally have infinite money. I don't know if you've seen that one going around. It was a great Twitter post. he said that we have infinite money at the Federal Reserve. So take that as you will. I don't think that infinite money is a good statement to say. In the Credit Suisse banking failure, the government said that I believe it was a French reporter asked what they expect of these bailouts, and the translation was bailouts into English, and then they like automatically corrected it, saying, "Oh no, these are not bailouts." Because guess what? Americans don't like that word because last time we saw it is 2008 when we had a absolute ton of banks fail. So there was, sizable ones. I think Washington Mutual was the largest with like 400 billion. So this week we've had two banks in the $200 billion range, $200 billion deposits fail. So that already equals that largest one there. And I think there is a lot more in the same and similar boat, a lot of big profiles and that same thing. So again, I do think that we are in this range of people
What's
seeing
that
it a
do
little
with
bit
the
differently.
dollar?
What's up?
What's
Say
that do
again.
with the dollar?
I mean, I personally think, let's look at the DYX. Let's look at that one. We followed it a little bit last time. It's been kind of chilling. Again, look at here. We got a little. Went into resistance March 7th, so we're getting downward trends. And this, I mean, this literally looks like if you look at these are the tops here, and through January through here, this literally looks exactly how Bitcoin looked, but inverse, right? So let's look at the Bitcoin chart. We had that huge bullish, bam, 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 leg up, leg up, leg up, leg up. And now we get this resistance. And look what happened when we hit this resistance here on Bitcoin, right? This picture went from 68,000 to 16,000. And now we have the dollar. Bam, bam, bam. Huge, huge bullish momentum. Now we're getting this like what pretty much like a dead cat bounce. It bounced off the 50. Now it's going here. And again, I think it's getting rejected here. We can already see it kind of happening. It doesn't, obviously it's not as volatile as something like crypto, but RSI kind of takes that into account, right? This is just saying, is it overbought versus oversold? And we're barely above, we're getting rejected at barely overbought right here. So I do think that this is something where we could see, at least the hundreds, and then the next would be, let's see, about probably around, this area here, this little dip, 94. I definitely see this could be that trend there. I don't hold me to it, but this is what I'm thinking is these banks are an issue. People actually, legit get scared. My sister, who does nothing with anything financial, called me and said, "What's going on?" I sell stuff on Etsy. She sells stuff on Etsy and PayPal and stuff like that for like as a side business. She was unable to access. She's for 20 days. They're telling her that she can't access her Etsy money because she has to verify and do all this stuff. But again, Etsy was one of the companies with SVB. So until they are able to unlock their deposits, that's a problem, right? And someone who it never interacts with anything financial is like, oh, this is affecting me. Um, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my side business where I am trying to, kind of, get extra spending money? It used to withdraw into my account in one day and now it doesn't, right? It's a problem. Like I can't get my money now for 20 days. Why is that a thing? What was happening? And they kind of open their eyes to say like, oh wow, there's a lot of moving parts here. We have multiple banks failing. It's just going to be shown to them, I'm sure, with the media and stuff like that. It's going to be something where they're going to actually see behind the curtain a little bit because most people just expect movement of money to be really easy and really
They
uh,
they expect that
quick.
money to be there, right?
Yeah, it happens really quickly, and that this whole giant machine, movement behind the scenes is like we haven't updated our systems since like the late 50s, early 60s with the Swift banking protocol. It's archaic as hell. All the new like internet layover is just smoke and mirrors. It doesn't actually settle into your bank, for a couple days. Even though it says processing, and then but your bank is like, oh, you're good for it. It's processing money, and if it bounces, it bounces, and we charge you a fee for that. If it actually isn't good, so it's no sweat off their back if these are issues. But what happens now when people are like, yo, actually, I do need some money. I need my money now. Um, I can see it going two ways. Retail is interested more because, I mean, look at the Great Depression, right? People didn't trust banks for forever. Like if you talk to like you know
Great great grandparents. Yep.
yeah, they they store money in mattresses and shit, and they're always like hoarding money places, paper money, because they experienced actual bank runs, right? When the economy failed, when you can't get access to your own money that you pretty much pay someone to protect, and they don't, right? It's something where it's used for investing. It's invested in short-term T-bonds, or it's vested in some sort of index fund that's tied to real estate holdings that are highly underwater because everyone bought these houses with 2.8% interest on their house, and now the average cost of inflation is like what six. What was it? Last one was 6.4 year over year, right? So that's a problem, right? Banks are themselves underwater with our own money, not their money, um, that they use. And again, like FDIC insurance up to 250,000. They're saying they're waiving this, but to what can they how much money can they just waive? And we'll actually see with these. Again, I think further bank failures. We had the open today on the stock market. What was it? First Republic Bank is down 50% from the start, and they instantly halted trading on it. I think 46 seconds after opening.
Again today.
Yeah. So again today. Yep. So they already did halt trading on it previously, and now it is again halted. So it really is a issue, right? And again, like when I think of that's why I think these prices are, any retracement here. I personally think when again, like it's kind of matching up on this stuff. Once we're above the blue and the white, I think we get some bounce here and kind of moving upwards. And then in that May area, we'll probably be up in this 53, 54 range. Let's look at this previously up in here, like 55, I could say, like around this area. And we'll probably see something like this similar pattern. But, I do think that we have some room to go upwards from here. And any dips, I will most likely be switching to longing stuff instead of shorting stuff. That's what I have been doing. Short. Again, until proven otherwise, I've been shorting this entire time, and now we have a somewhat of a signal that needs to be proven, um, and to kind of state is this something that we're going in this direction or not, right? So, again, this is all a probability. It's nothing's for sure. But this is my kind of outlook of what I think, right? So we'll definitely see. What do you think here?
My thoughts are, that if we get some more inflation and they want to keep raising the rates, it's only going to keep kind of snowballing. I guess this way we're snowballing upwards.
Yeah, and do we actually get that breakaway? Like crypto is the hedge this time, right? We it's something where it's been treated like most people don't view it that way. Again, it's been like that new tech stock practically, where it's super highly volatile. But if we get some of that semblance of holy shit, this is sound money, instead of, I mean, how many times can it be? It's just, to me, it's just nuts, to be honest. Like, how many times you fool me once on the banking and the bailouts? It's my fault. You do it again, it's not. It's your fault there. So I don't think it's a something where we should play these things lightly. There's a lot of moving parts on the global stage.
Yeah, it's like where if you're not holding any crypto, like what are you gonna hold? And if you're trying to sell your crypto, what are you putting your money into that's gonna hold any kind of value?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially
Like
when, you're
properties, have been highly over leveraged. We've all these. They took a lot of PPP loans to pretty much take out. Corporations are buying up single family homes and all this stuff. Those are leveraged homes. So if we see a sharp drop in that, we see another housing crisis of like similar to 2008. Um, they're packed with again like all these loans that were really low interest rates, and we've been crushing the raises lately. Um, in a really rapid succession, and I don't think we've felt the wave of that come in yet, right? The tightening in such a rapid succession. So I do think the equity side's not looking super hot. And if we don't pull away and we don't get that, then we'll die with them. But I do think with this, we've seen the S&P and Nasdaq aren't up 670% from their lows a couple months ago. They're barely holding on, right? So I do see that this is kind of the first time we see a little bit of that contrarian thought process. The hedge, usually it's gold. Um, there's a lot to be said for that. I think the gold has a market cap of what, like $13 trillion, whereas Bitcoin is less than 1 trillion by itself. So, that's it's a pretty big gap to fill. Is it gold going to be the continued standard until we start seeing some of the older generation with all the money kind of dying off? They don't understand this wave, or is it going to be this bank failure or this little bit of a recession that we've got cooked up ourselves into? So could be big.
Yeah, I mean something's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Can't just keep
It's not gonna just crab forever.
yeah, can't just keep kicking the can.
Kicking can down the street. And then like, look at the other side of let's look at some more of these while we're out of here. Matic is one we always kind of track. Not this was already that spike. Now we're getting this retest and probably a short. This could be definitely down in 98 cents. I definitely, this is not a time to be buying alts. Me personally, I think alts will, dominance of Bitcoin will, we've already seen it go up a good 5%. Um, I think that it will continue this trend, especially if we, people see the Bitcoin is a hedge, right? And we get that kind of narrative kind of coming out. I definitely see the dominance rising a lot.
Alts already
you
had
know,
their fun, didn't they?
say again.
I said alts already had their fun.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a fun. And
When we saw
it's
Matic at like 150 like a couple
yeah.
weeks
Matic
ago.
was at 150. We saw that pump through. That was called, I think, on ours here. We talked about it here. We had this bounce on here, which that was that what, like $1.05 range. Saying that it was going to go up through there. We had that fun in the mid February, right? So we got a month out of that. That was
Yeah,
a good
that's when we
move.
were like looking at stacks and all that too before
Yep,
they
stacks.
went up to $1 and stuff.
Yep, we had stacks. We had curve. I was looking at curve. Curve, like literally, it's like the same picture as Matic, essentially. We saw this big move up and then trace and then trace. I think we can see this 98. If that doesn't hold, 74 will be a good spot. Curve, similar approach. This is actually still hasn't, this is probably even a better short because this hasn't even touched here with Matic. We've actually seen some pinch down here. So uh, let's see what stacks. Stacks again. The stacks was a little bit more of a not technical drive on this. We see volume increase. This was purely from the ordinals and Bitcoin, kind of getting that NFT craze of ordinals pumping in through here. This is when we first saw it. We were talking about it with TO on this one here. Um, my prediction was a lot more cool, calm, and collected. Coming up through here. Late this year, once we get that, dip in, the summer months are generally bad trading months. Is a good place to buy. So that was my kind of thought process. But yeah, we've seen once we get this velocity coming, we had a retracement all the way to 50 cents, now back over a dollar. Huge move here. And shout out to TO for that one. Let's see. We got what else are we looking at? Blur. We looked at Blur a little bit.
I don't think there's any reason to look at Blair anymore.
This was what we called. It literally did that and then died even more, bounced back up to here, and then get rejected again. Same stuff there. What else are we looking at? What else did we look at? I think we looked at Tezos a little bit. Uh, you know, that was looking shit there. Nothing of value here yet. So again, most of these alts, I don't see anything of.
They're looking pretty weak.
Yeah, looking weak. They're all very far away, very, and essentially like very oversold on these, positions, but still not trending enough to where it's bullish momentum, right? Like the convert the they're just hanging out low, like they're just staying in the oversold, and until we get convergence upwards and we actually see momentum, then people get excited, and that's when you're looking to buy on day trading or swing trading type events. Garbage there. Ren actually has been having a little pump. We kind of see this trend here, which is, Ren is like a Bitcoin narrative, right? It's the idea of getting it's a better alternative to like wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum. So if a lot of people have been looking at Bitcoin more recently. So, it's like that beta or gamma move, right? Like same thing with stacks. That's why stacks is pumping, right? It's like the adjacent to Bitcoin with smart contracts. It has some capabilities. Ren is like a ability to wrap your Bitcoin and put it on the Ethereum chain. So if people like it. So again, like we've seen a little bit of that narrative of just more action in Bitcoin itself could draw up Bitcoin adjacent products value. That's definitely a thing. And same thing with like AI. Every AI has been pumping in the news. Everyone's talking about AI. So, fetch AI went up a ton and, just stuff that has literally AI in the name. It's just that mindset of, ooh, this is an easy trade. It's like stuff like that. So again, I can see this kind of retracing that over the next couple of days due to the pump and hike and rates, which is we'll see. If we don't get a rate hike and it's a zero,
We're
that's
going up.
bullish. Yeah, it was bullish as hell. Um, so, but
What are
I
your
don't think that's gonna
thoughts?
happen. What's
What
up?
are your thoughts on the Shanghai release that's coming out? I think they got a date now
Yeah, it
of
was
April
April
14th or 12th or
8th
something.
or yeah, something like that. I can't remember the exact date. But yeah, it's coming out next month. I mean, I'm very bullish on it. I think short term it's going to cause some sell pressure. But overall, it's massive to the pretty much the bull case for Ethereum, I think personally, because if you look at every other POS competitor, it's very much the opposite where they have their staked amount of their currency or the total percentages in like the lowest I think is Tron with like 55%. Solana is like 70% staked. Cardano is like 80 something percent staked. Um, Avalanche has a good amount. I can't remember what it was, but it was in the 60s. So we're at like 13.5% of the entire supply of Ethereum staked. So again, short term, people moving money, they haven't been able to touch their profits for 2 years if they started staking at the beginning. Even longer than 2 years, right? It was October 2020, so like 2 years and a quarter, essentially, that you weren't able to to touch your funds. So I mean, I'm getting some ETH. I'm gonna be moving that. I'm probably gonna be buying some Bitcoin with it, actually, because I'm a little heavy on the ETH side. I would like to have some more exposure to Bitcoin personally. Um, so, again, what I'm doing is I'm taking my nodes, I'm breaking them all down, and then putting them in with Rocket Pool nodes instead, so that I can host my own and I get a higher percentage with the staking. So I can pretty much double the amount of nodes from 10 to 20, and then I'm able to then get the like extra 1 to 2, one ish, 1.5% additional for providing these nodes for other people to kind of like liquid stake, right? So, um, again, I think that's probably some short term stuff will be crazy volatile on that side, but within a month or two, I definitely think it'll regain plus some whatever the current price is. Barring if it was like in a bubble, right? Like if it's, I just think it's very bullish to me. What do you think?
I feel like it kind of encourages people to like restake. You know, it worked, right? If
It
if
worked.
that
They
if
got the
that
job
happens,
done. And again, like why, just look at normal bonds, right? It's essentially you're getting like what, four-ish, short-term bonds right now. Um, it's if at the lowest amount of money that you're going to get from it is roughly like 4.3%, with like the annual inflation essentially of it, minus the, not counting the burn of the total supply. It's, it will be still inflation supply, just a lot less than previous numbers. But how we get the staking rewards is going to be a different beast. Like you don't have to actually put in electricity realistically. Like it's 99% cost reduction effectively. Like you just have to have nodes. It's I mean, realistically, besides the 32 ETH cost of them to run a full node, and if you don't want to run a full node, you can run like a half node if you have the capital, 16 on Rocket Pool. And if you don't have the capital for that, you can just do what we've been doing, which is like liquid staking with Lido or the Rocket Pool, or whatever product you find the best fit for you. Um, I think those are, again, we're at 13.5%. I can see it easily going up to 30-40% because now you're able to withdraw. Like if you need access to your money, you can. Um, and that was the biggest problem with just in general since we've started staking is, like I've had my money locked up for forever, like
years.
literally, yeah, years. So, and you got rewarded for that because at the beginning the staking was like 18% until people started saturating it. We got all the way down to 4.3 here, but at the beginning, for a couple months, it was high. It was very high. Like you got like 20 to start for maybe like a week or two. Then it was like 18, for a couple of weeks. 15 for like a month. Like it was nuts. Like you got some big numbers in there. So, with the risk of not touching your money, you got some really good rewards. And now that it's just, you get way less rewards because of that, it's way lower, but now you can withdraw whenever you want. So you can get access to your money pretty quickly. We don't know exactly what the timeframes are of entering, exiting of these will be, but I would assume it's probably relatively quick. It can't be more than traditional banks. Um, so I definitely see the value there. We know it's an asset that's at current pricing is, let's see, from the actual Pico top to now, we're down 63% on an asset that you can, assume that we're in an upwards direction of value and you're able to get additional 4% on it. That's huge. And I do think that will be used. But any other thoughts on that one? What do you?
Not really. Just kind of, waiting to see the volatility that comes from that, along with, the meetings over the next couple days here with the Fed. See what they're gonna do. That I feel like that's gonna have more of an impact on the price than the staking, at least for the next month or two.
Yeah, you just mean like just the price of it going down. You're saying from like release. You're saying, or
Yeah, like if people were to sell their
Yeah,
stakes.
this is gonna be the time to, yeah, exactly. It's again, like I'm saying, I'm gonna sell my earned, like not the capital or principal or whatever, anything like that, but all earned money. Yeah, I'm definitely considering it, reallocating some of it into other things. So again, I could definitely see a shorter term kind of like sell off, but again, bullish longer.
Yeah, I'm starting to become more bullish on Bitcoin than Ethereum.
Just
Just
overall, or just so
just
short term?
overall, yeah, all together with all these other countries that, have some and they continue to buy some as they switched over to BTC as their currency,
Yeah,
and then, look for these other countries to start joining the team, and
yeah,
maybe, see some more regular everyday people like, hey, maybe I should have like maybe a couple $1,000s of this stuff, or start
yeah,
throwing my money into that instead of the stock market, or instead of like saving it for a house or whatever the case is, or a
yeah.
second property,
Yeah, I need to protect myself a little bit. And like, think of it from like a company standpoint, right? You can keep a different money on a essentially, if you were banking with SVB, you probably weren't able to meet payroll, right? What is the harm of having, say you're like a really large company that got like over 100 employees, your payroll is going to be very expensive, like couple, probably $200,000 minimum a week, or, or sorry, every 2 weeks or whatever, every payroll period. Um, what's the harm in having something where it's, a tiny bit of your money, 1 to 2% of your free capital in something like Bitcoin or Ethereum. So if this happens in the future and your bank fails or something like that, you don't get screwed, right? Like, the if you have employees who are not getting their payments, they have right to sue you for not meeting your end of the agreement. And the lawsuit comes from, then they're the other companies now suing the bank. It just ties up all this, money and time and blah blah blah. You can be like, hey, I know it's a little bit unorthodox. I actually have some cryptocurrency to kind of offset this problem. Would you accept Bitcoin for your payment this week, or this month, since we can't get access to our funds? Um, like, what really is the harm in something like that? I don't see it in the long term holding crypto, and I think that's something that will become more prevalent in the future if we start seeing some of these issues with more banks and stuff like that. And again, people lose their faith in the banks. And would someone say, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to be paid in crypto this week," or they're like, "Shit, I'll learn how to use that."
yeah.
You know what I
I mean,
mean?
would you rather have nothing?
Would you have no money, or would you rather get paid and just have to learn something new? And I definitely think people would much rather learn something new and get their money that they are owed. Um, there's I definitely see that being a, just again, it's like a use case for these things. We've talked about just how the structure of cryptocurrency works. Again, it's the currency. I don't I think it has more value as a currency than it does as a investment vehicle. They're just overlap and intertwined because as a currency, it just is a better currency, and it actually holds its value, unlike the one that we actually use day to day. So it turns into an investment vehicle as well, kind of over time, like a bigger time frame, right? So there's never been a time in the history of Bitcoin that if you did, you put money in and you held it for, I think it's 1,200 days, that you weren't up a minimum of 100%. So, uh, I mean, that's like 3 years and change, roughly, or a little under 3 years. So, I definitely see this becoming more and more just prevalent in the future. Again, there's a lot of factors at play, but again, a lot of momentum, I think, in the positive direction for the use case of cryptocurrency. And I think the more that is demonized um, in the media and stuff like that, people can see stuff like I don't know. There's more videos about it. I see so much more just talk about it lately, especially with the whole that I can't remember. I know his name's hard to pronounce, Balajai or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Um,
the $1 million bet.
yeah, that guy gained like 180,000 followers in like a couple days from to that call. Like, do you think that's only crypto people? I really highly doubt that. I'm sure people in crypto space were already following. We already had 800, 700,000 followers. I think that's a people are like, oh shit, this guy's got that's a lot. I mean, that's a ballsy move. That's $2 million that he's putting up to risk, saying that there will be hyperinflation. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to $1 million. It means that the bet is that if hyperinflation reaches America in 90 days, which it is, hyperinflation is deemed 50% year over year inflation. We're already at six, and we're already adding money into, again, like
Again, yeah, we
yeah,
just
like
erased what we accomplished over the last
over the
year.
last whatever, yeah, exactly. They just were like, took what, like 4 hours to add money back in that we've been working on fucking, for over a terrible year of, constant rate hikes, and we got to get back on track, and they're like, oh well, bank's fucked up, let's bail them out again. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
What about what's your thoughts on like the CBDC?
So interesting stuff on that one. So the test will be sometime in July of this year. Um, for the first kind of like testing, I think it was in New York, right? We had DeSantis come out today and say that Florida will not, will not participate,
It doesn't surprise me.
which I personally think is great. Like, whatever. I don't, again, I'm not playing the politics game. I don't care for
Doesn't
any of
Miami
them.
have like their own?
Yep.
Or
I
was
mean,
that just like
The
a
Miami
test?
coin,
Yeah,
he's a huge supporter of Bitcoin. And again, not to bring in politics and this stuff. Like, again, I don't like any of them. I think they're all assholes and all crooks.
they're all
But
corrupt.
exactly. But like, I do see, he's playing this game of, will there be small, Texas and Florida and, essentially like large Republican backing of people against CBDCs at a state level. What could this happen? What could this play into? I think again, that's the more disarray or more craziness in the world. I think again, just a bullish case for Bitcoin and something that's it seems volatile, but realistically, you know it's volatile in the direction that you want it to be volatile in over a given period of time.
Yeah. Do you think that like social credit scores will doesn't isn't that like somehow tied to CBDCs there?
I mean, essentially, we already have social credit scores of the credit system and all that stuff. Everyone's just given a number, and that's your
Well, that's like your credit score over like your own financials, but
yeah.
the social credit score is like, oh, if you go to like this bar or if you go to like you're hanging around these people, you have a lower score than if you would be hanging around like these people and
Oh, I see
not
what you're saying.
not
Like,
going to
I
bars and
haven't like
going to
I'm again on the
libraries.
politics side. I haven't looked at that.
It's
Yeah, if
like a
you
thing, it's a bigger thing in China because it's like an actual system.
yeah. I mean, that would be horrible. That's never a great thing. I mean, I'm sure that already happens. Like if I mean, at a level like all this data they collect off of you already. I mean, there's no way there's not. You're selling your data to people to use. Again, if you're inactive and you sit at your house all day and don't do anything, I'm sure there's some correlation to your your insurance rates.
Gotta
Uh,
help.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean that's exactly what you're saying.
It's got to
Essentially,
be
like
something. But then
you
it's
know,
also like, I don't know, it's
it's
crazy stuff, honestly, that what
yeah.
the
I
future
have no comment
brings.
on that. Again, I don't like to tie it in with the. I would say that's a little bit more of a political type stance, or like I really hate that aspect of all this type of stuff. I think that's why we're in the position that we are in as Americans right now. Personally, like we fight amongst each other for for no reason, and then realistically, the problem is just the ultra wealthy people they don't give a shit whose side they're on. They pay whoever person wants to listen, and that's who they promote,
No, they're
right?
burning the streets on purpose.
Yeah, so I like to stay out of that one, but again, I think overall, to me, a little bit of a dump on probably a rate hike, TLDR dump and then recovery within 2-3 weeks. So we'll see.
Are they gonna keep printing money?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well,
I mean, you
we're
have
gonna go up.
they're already do. I mean, they've already done it. Again, it's now Credit Suisse and all. They have the swap lines open with other countries. Those are very very short term things. Those are slapping band-aids on a hemorrhaging blood wound. It's not going to be effective. So
Yeah, I think what the craziest part is all these companies that are like they're joining up to buy things and it's eventually going to come down to only like a handful of companies that do everything.
yeah, who was the bank that bought Silvergate?
Oh,
It
I
was
don't
it
remember
was
that one.
just it was like brand new news. It was like just before this came on. So
It
essentially they
happened.
aren't allowed to have any crypto business because of the purchase. You see that? It's like $88 billion in crypto deposits that they have to find a new location um for holding their funds and shit like that. So um I definitely think that this is an issue. They don't want crypto to succeed in America because they can't control it. That's why they're making the CBDC, and that's why they're scaring people away from it right now. But I think it's kind of backfiring a little bit. So
Citadel and BlackRock took major stakes in Silvergate, um, buying up
there was
5.5 and 7% only. So it must be somebody else.
yeah, there was the Signature Bank is what I was talking about. It was like
Oh,
literally
Signature.
in the actual like purchase agreement. They had to not participate in their crypto side of the Signature
New
Bank
York
business.
Community Bank
Yeah, so it
buys a
literally
significant chunk.
yeah, they literally stated that they weren't allowed to, use any of that deposits from the crypto aspects of their businesses. So that are with them as a bank. So again, like just some crazy shit all going on, and
These are the good
we'll
old days. We're gonna look back on this like the wild, wild west.
we'll see, man.
Hopefully,
Hold
hopefully.
strong.
Never sell.
Yeah. And if we do hit 1 million, we got 86 days. I would sell in the $900,000 range, to front run the
Oh, absolutely. The psychology.
yeah, so a little humor at the end, but we'll see you guys next time.
All
But
right.
we got to get one for ninja alerts on here too.
Yep.
But let's wrap it up, guys. We'll see you another time.
Yep.